Hello everyone, in today's Command vs. DCS, we're going to be checking out the BF109, which is one of the World War II modules for DCS, and it is featured in Command, even though it is a World War II style aircraft. So the scenario I've set up here is pretty straightforward. We have our little AN-TPS-43, which for me is like the American radar when I think about I just need a search radar. And of course, over here at Nellis Air Force Base, we have a lone BF109 just sort of sitting here ready to go. It's a G6, which is a little different than the model we have over in DCS, but it's the same general idea and same general armament. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and tell this aircraft to take off right away, just like I would in a typical DCS mission. And he's going to be on his way in just a moment. So now when I think about the BF109, like to me, that is the German World War II fighter. There is the target. German World War II fighter of choice. Like when I think about, like for the Americans, for example, for the American Army Air Corps, I actually think of the P-40, even though a lot of people think of the P-47 or the P-51. My personal favorite World War II plane is actually the P-38 as far as on the Allied side. Obviously, when you think of the English, I always think of the Spitfire. When I think of some of the Navy, for example, I always think of the Corsair. It's just kind of the general association that I typically do. Let me go ahead and add that target there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do our intercept here. Our target is kind of the same we had as the P-51. It's a C-130. I know that's not exactly a very easy, hard target to hit, but believe it or not, when I tested this earlier, just to see kind of how everything would behave or not behave, one of the issues I actually had was that the C-130 kept outrunning me, which was kind of an interesting / embarrassing situation. All right, so we are off. Let's go ahead and flip this over to 3D view real quick. Let's hope it's behaving pretty well today. It looks pretty good. Hey, look at that. We even have a 3D model and everything here. That makes me feel a little bit better. And this, of course, I'm sure is just a bogey. Yeah, it's just a bogey right now. Bogey number 1. So the BF109, first thing I notice when I look at it over here is the fact that its true airspeed is amazing. That's 400 knots. That's like quicker than an A-10 quick. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a performance nearly that high in DCS. You know, it's going to be like flying with the speed brakes on the whole time in DCS. But that being said, this is still a very quick and very, very powerful aircraft. One of the things I really, really appreciated about it is the fact that its cannons are amazing. Like for World War II standards, they will snap things in half. They're not like the P-51, which are like a pew-pew little kind of a thing. And it certainly beats some of the early war weapons, which were just, oh my gosh, embarrassing. It's teeny, 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 tiny calibers. But it worked when your airplane's made out of, you know, like wood and like plywood and doped canvas and stuff like that. All right, here comes our engagement here. I believe the reason this is so glitchy is because I was messing with the settings over in regular attack view, so some of that must have carried over to command here. All right, let's take a look at what happens. So we have the merge. I always like to, in the merge, take the early shot, assuming you can. Chances are in DCS, I'm not going to be merging him head on like this. I'll probably be merging him at an angle, just kind of guessing, just because I understand that he'll probably be over here by the time I actually get there, even though I'll set the missions up exactly identical with each other. All right, here comes the merge. If you can get the cheap shot, always take it. And let's see, we're going to confirm what the target is. Oh, come on, he's like right there. All right, here we go. Stay on target. And there's the merge, identifying, and he just missed it. Ah, C-130. All right, nice tight turn. I'm sure in DCS I'll be blacking out at this point because I'll accidentally have built up too much speed and went whoopsies as I go ahead and took that turn. That always happens, but generally for a C-130, that aircraft can outrun this BF109 in DCS. So hopefully I set the settings correctly when I set it up a little later on. All right, let's take a look here. So we're zeroing in a little bit closer. I'm actually very curious to see what engagement range that this takes place at. Take a look at our little action here. It's pretty clear that they're pretty much right on top of each other. Pause. Whoop. What is that actual range? About 1,000 meters. That's actually pretty good. I don't think I'm confident enough with my shooting to take a shot like that. Doesn't stop me from trying, obviously. All right, so the first hit did some damage. It didn't actually knock it out of the air. Uh-oh. It looks like we're going to get a pass here. It's got to be a pass, isn't it? Oh, watch out! Oh, don't do that, DCS. All right. So I'm going to actually close that out right here. So it looks like we got one hit in, but it didn't really do the deed. So now we're doing some yo-yo action here, trying to reestablish a shot. Don't do that, please. Just slow. Oh, we got a second hit in, looks like. Actually, I'm going to check the message log real quick here to see if we did. Okay, so that's for the 12.7. We took another one and hit again. Oh, man, that C-130 is just not going down. I thought I had trouble with the B-51. Did I run out of ammo? Ran out of ammo. Haven't done that before. Let's go ahead and shut off communication disruption just in case. Let's actually see if we did enough damage to actually shoot this thing down. I don't know that we did. No, we certainly did not. All right, so that is definitely an interesting kind of outcome, I guess I would call it there. Yeah, I know I messed up my country names, but it's okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this did in DCS. All right, here we are over in DCS, ready for takeoff. So one thing to note is this is probably the hardest aircraft I've ever flown, probably in any simulator, including IL-2 as far as takeoff is concerned. This thing is just like, you've got to be kidding me for takeoff. I mean, you can see my foot is over all the way to the right there trying to keep this thing stable. It's unbelievably difficult to fly this aircraft. Landing this thing, oh man. Like I said, I got a lot of experience, even in the real world experience, but this thing is just ridiculous. Now the worst part is when you do get airborne, the thing suddenly wants to pull itself to the right, as you'll see. Oh man, that is incredible. All right, let's get rolling. We got work to do here. All right, flip everything on. We're good to go. Now, the first major difference between this over in DCS as well as what we have over in Command is the fact that this is just not that fast. In Command, it rates us at being able to do like 480 knots or something like that. We'll be lucky if I can get this thing up to 280, even 300 knots. So intelligence suggests that a pesky C-130 is somewhat... I see it right there. I'm getting better at that. It just takes practice. The key thing is you just got to know where to look. So that pesky C-130 is out there somewhere, and it's giving us all sorts of trouble, probably doing some spy missions. Let's go ahead and get this thing revving up. One thing I really do appreciate about this aircraft is the fact that it's relatively simple to control, in the sense that you don't have to worry about the engine like you do on like the I-16 or something like that. Just kind of hit the gas and let the aircraft figure itself out. We do have emergency warp power on this thing, but I'm not going to test that because I don't want to break anything at altitudes like this. And one thing I really love is it's got this little flare gun. It's just fun to play with. Boom! Take that. Just kind of entertaining. You can see very clearly that I've got my controls over to the left because it's just so light of an aircraft with so much horsepower. Now, one interesting thing that I found that I kind of like about this aircraft is this little offset sight. It's like, you know, when you click it and it goes away, hey, I can see again. When I click it again, hey, look at that. It's kind of a neat little trick there, and I wish more aircraft had sights that you could fold out of the way. It really does make it a little bit easier to see. Now, another thing for those of you interested in purchasing this particular aircraft, you want to watch out because you only have pitch trim, and your pitch trim only works up to a certain speed. I believe it's around 400 kilometers an hour. Once you hit that speed, no amount of downward trim is going to save you. So I can already start to make out my target pretty clearly here. I'm taking a look at my engine instruments real fast. I want to make sure I don't make any mistakes. Now, the safest way to hit this guy, of course, is to go out and then turn into him. It's a relatively slow aircraft, so I'm just going to kind of monitor it this way as he goes by. Looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and do my turn in. Now, I'm usually pretty good at coordinating my feet as far as rudder and aileron goes, but this aircraft is just so much work to try to do that with. And there we go. I think that was a little high. Kind of like to use my machine guns to kind of range it. Oh, hit something important. That should do it. And I think that's it. That was quick. I see a chute. Oh, it always makes me feel better when I see a chute. I actually got to reduce my engine power here, so you can see what happens. And whoop-boom. All right. Not bad. Not bad at all. This thing's got some firepower. That P-51, I'd be there for a while. All right, so hopefully you've seen the difference between Command and DCS as far as this aircraft goes. The overwhelming difference for me is I just do not get the speed in this program as I do over in Command. But the firepower is definitely there as well as the accuracy. Now, if I really wanted to embarrass myself, of course, I'd swing around and try to land this thing. But I don't feel like embarrassing myself today, so hopefully you'll understand. Enjoy.